So cool. All right. Hey everybody. Welcome back to Tuesday Night D&D. Cheers. What we'd like to do is devote a couple of chapters to combat and review or progressive storyline. It's a work in progress. As mentioned before, none of us are any good at what we're doing. Cheers for that.
Cheers.
We'll drink to the betterment of the channel, but yeah, today we'd like to talk about the last combat.
Well, I had an idea. See, people, the viewers to the channel, have come in at the end of a campaign that's been running for some time. Now, we had an inkling, and we thought, you know, it'd be nice for us, for our own records and amusement, to keep track of the encounters, ergo video, right? But teething problems and issues being what they were, we're halfway through the campaign. Now, my good friend...
You think halfway?
Wow. Well, I mean,
wow.
As far as anyone, if they watched from today's episode that I posted last night,
Yep.
that would be halfway through how long we've been playing this campaign for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah,
we've been playing perhaps
yep.
for this campaign for a few months. We've sort of got about a month's worth of footage up there at the moment, because obviously we meet together once a week for the Tuesday night inaugural D&D night, which has become Tuesday Night D&D.
That's it.
Alright? So Dizzy spent considerable amount of time and thought and research, and he's developed this masterpiece that we've all enjoyed.
Thank you, sir. That's very generous of you. That's nice.
But you guys don't know, you've never met Nana Periwinkle, for instance, or some of the other lovable rogues that we've encountered along the way.
That's true. Maybe mentioned in passing at the end of an encounter, or so maybe some time spent in fleshing it out.
I had a bit of a plan, just do perhaps a recap.
Yeah, sure.
As to where we are and what's brought us to this point.
All right.
You know, so like the timeline of it, basically, the basic start of it is that we arrived in Ravenstown. I don't know, how did we arrive in Ravenstown?
Well, what brought you to Ravenstown was you all arrived on board one of the merchant vessels that arrived in the harbour, or arrived at Ravenstown.
That's right.
And as neophyte adventurers, you're all sort of starry-eyed and, you know, wanting to, you know, explore the untamed West, remember? Because we've always presented, well, I've always represented Ravenstown as a frontier town. Yeah. You know, on the edge of civilization, you know, too close to the wilds for those that prefer the protection of home and hearth and a heavily armed militia. Sure. So, you all arrived, you met collectively on board the boat and decided to form a group. That's right. Without a name yet, but that's all right. Yep. I'm probably voting for Pirate Steve and Co.
Well, it seems to be.
You know, but so you met together on the boat as you came on your travels towards Ravenstown via sea, and shortly after you got off the boat, you saw a scene with a foul, unkept, dirty-looking sailor having an argument with the harbour master about wharf fees for a boat that was in the dock on the harbour, and I believe all that you could see of the boat was the top of the mast coming out the water.
I recall Pirate Steve entering our display, as it were, on top of that mast and stepping off dramatically onto the jetty, the wharf.
Yeah.
You know, that was the whole Johnny Depp moment.
It was, and I must admit, I've taken a lot of inspiration from that character.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh, for sure, you know, because it adds a lot of flavour. But for you, and I remember you telling me what did it look like to you, and you recounted you just envisioned this guy just, as the boat was coming in the harbour, sinking down, and him just stepping off the top of the mast onto
that's right.
That's the wharf, and
the fantasy that I've.
Well, that's the heart of RPGs, though, isn't it? Hey, it's someone will tell a story, but it'll provoke an image in your head as well, and that's fantastic.
That's it, mate.
And for a dungeon master, I can't elaborate or say how much greater that makes you feel as a DM, because it shows that you're presenting something whether that's how it actually happened or not is irrelevant. It's how you've responded.
How it's been perceived by the punters.
Exactly, and you've responded internally, like, okay, the guy's boat's at the bottom of the harbour, but this is how it came in, and once again, all part of the story. So shortly after meeting up with Pirate Steve, the guys went, I believe, straight to the Rat and Cheese.
Well, what did happen is, and you touched on it, that Pirate Steve was engaged in an animated conversation.
Oh, yes,
with one of the local...
Chester, the molester, the harbour master.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was trying to extricate fees from Pirate Steve for mooring his vehicle, whatever you call it, for what vessel.
That's right, and his argument was that it's a shipwreck. It's not moored because it's sitting at the bottom of the harbour.
That's a fair call. Yeah. But nonetheless, that detritus still did occupy the space there. So we intervened.
That's right.
How what effect it may or may not have had, but that was our first meeting with Pirate Steve, as it were.
Your first encounter in Ravenport.
And that too. Yeah. And I can't recall. They basically saying, this is the local rogue and rah. But he took a shine to us. We took a shine to him. We ended up at the Rat and Cheese.
That's right.
As all good campaigns.
Yeah. I'd like to try and, the old.
What was that
adage,
position?
Everyone meets in a tavern, and it's like, well, no, let's try and put a different spin on it. And
but there's another. I digress, because you should be aware that Ravenstown, there is a local, for want of a better word, legend, or they pay homage to a deity that
not so much a deity. I'm pretty well laid out. It's like, because it's a frontier town, but it's also mostly like a fishing town, village that's slowly on the rise, on the edge of civilization, with a bit of agricultural backup. But it's basically a harbour town with fishing as its primary industry. And these sailors all believe in Nana Periwinkle, the sea witch that looks after them when they go on their voyages. Before they go on a voyage, most of the sailors, especially the captain, will flip a coin into the harbour to ask Nana for her blessing for a successful, safe voyage. And you notice the necklace of seashells.
That's what it was.
Yep. The necklace of seashells that hangs on every wharf as you come in. The sailors and the captain would, do the coin, do the sign, and touch the.
And I actually, at that juncture, did volunteer myself. I have given a tribute to Nana Periwinkle, but it wasn't at that point. It was later on.
That's right. Yep.
But I did myself.
So Nana was sort of covered,
early in the piece.
Very briefly, mind you, but still set the pace for the later meeting with Nana. But some believe it, some think it's rubbish. Pirate Steve thought it was crap too.
He sure did, but he still paid homage.
Well, begrudgingly,
but doff the cap.
That's right, but it's like urban legend, urban myth.
So he, however it happened, he accompanied us to the Rat and Cheese. He may have been invited, he may have just tagged along, but we got to Rat and Cheese. We met Mitchell.
Yep.
Barkus, and his fair wenches, and we asked about Nana Periwinkle.
Yep.
And asked, is there any work going, etc., i.e. bounty board?
Yep. Generic sort of, what's going on and whatnot in town, and as you do when you rock up at a new town, tavern's always the best place for information. So I'm not sure whether you got that information from him or from the bounty board about Weller's Solstice.
Which leads us to Weller's Solstice.
Yep.
Yeah, which was the original bounty was that there was strange goings on in Weller's Solstice.
That's right. Arthur Weller, the caretaker, we'll use that term loosely.
Yes. Because he doesn't care
much taking, and doesn't care. He was purporting that there was disturbances in the graveyard after hours. So, and I'm pretty sure it came from Lieutenant Gorman. This one. He said that the cemetery, because it lays outside the city's gates or jurisdiction, he wasn't really interested, but he seemed keen that you guys were. So,
to me, it wasn't actually a bounty per se because there was no reward.
No.
The reward was the warm glow and sense of satisfaction of having achieved a noble task.
And sometimes that's better than treasure, I think.
Oft times, but treasure is good too.
Well, what can be better than that warm feeling in the left side of your chest when you've done something for good and not expected
magical items. Plus
items.
2 AC or something nice.
Oh, geez.
Something nice for the crew.
I don't know about that. But with the stat bonuses,
maybe
BC's getting
bonus
in 5th ed, you really need a magic weapon apart from needing to be able to damage something.
No harm in asking.
Well, you can always ask.
So that was our original bounty. I don't know if that stage that we got to the other ones, which I won't digress to.
No.
The one gold.
The original pool was
so
the
we had the
disturbance.
three?
The disturbance at Weller Solstice.
So we went there, which it lies basically when you're dealing with Ravensport / Ravenstown. Okay, so we've landed. Down here is the docks. I don't know if we can really. Yeah, that's pretty good. Down here is the docks. Now off to the west, down that a ways, and off the map is Weller Solstice.
East, off to the east.
No, it's west, bud.
No.
North, east, south, west.
You're holding it up backwards.
No, it's got 2 sides, brother.
Yeah, past the farm tenements.
Down the west.
That's east.
East. Hello. Welcome to Tuesday Night D&D. So, as Dizzy was saying, to the east, down that path, down yonder, through the farm spell, and down that way. That's where Weller Solstice is, okay? For those keeping...
Because it laid outside of town, the Lieutenant Gorman, for his own reasons that may be discovered at a later point, was reticent to send some of the militia down. So it encouraged the party to go and talk to Arthur Weller themselves, and which they did. They found Mr. Weller in a state of excitement, concerned about the dead coming back to life, and strange noises and groans and grave robbers and disturbed graves coming from Weller's Solstice, of which he was, I think, 5th generation caretaker.
Was something like that, and it's certainly, by all accounts, it looks quite run down and like an oldie cemetery.
Oh, definitely, with the rusty gate and
the whole bit. Now, initially when we met him, first we met his wife, but that's neither here nor there. But he tried to charge us admission to the facility. He wanted gold
to open the gate.
Gate for us to help him.
Yep.
Now, given it's early in the campaign, we had bugger all money. None of us were prepared to part with the cash. Whether or not we did a persuade roll or whatever it was, we managed to get him to let us in to help him. You believe it? This is dizzy, mate.
Don't forget quickly locking the door, but locking the cemetery gate behind you as well.
And then locking us in there.
Yeah, well, he didn't want whatever was going on to
get
spill out of the gate.
And
so
that's fair enough. So we got in there, and there was nothing really apparent at first.
No, you fairly nondescript cemetery.
Sure.
Tombstones, graves, a couple of smaller crypts, dried up fountains, and a well down the further end. Yeah.
So I do recall we looted the crypts, and look, there was a small amount of gold, and I'm not proud, but we did take the gold. So grave robbers.
Well, maybe Arthur was right the whole time. There were grave robbers there.
Okay, here there be monsters. Yeah. But it was a small amount, and I remember putting back because what happened is that we entered, and they animated.
That's right, there were some zombies, skeletons I think, and some zombies that animated initially before you broke into the grave robbed the 2 tombs.
Yeah, so I respectfully put those bodies, some of them, back in their resting place.
That's right, I remember that, you put the bits back in.
And some of them had on fine clothes and all this sort of, obviously of high importance. Well-to-do members of society, so I felt an obligation. Yeah. Nonetheless, did we leave? Because we kept hassling Lieutenant Gorman. We might have gone back out.
Yeah, look, we're going to skip over the
whole ins and outs.
Do a fight and have a long rest rubbish, because that still burns my ass even to this day.
Well, that's the truth. And in between that happening, we were hassling the militia.
Yeah.
So Lieutenant Gorman bore the brunt of, and I'm not going to mention any names, Carrick, but some members were probably not as respectful as others.
No,
and he basically nearly got us evicted from the whole town. This guy was he wasn't liking it.
Well, you know, everyone, when you meet someone for the first time, it's like in the real world.
Yeah.
You know, I just love the way that we can associate something, even in a fantasy roleplay setting, to, you know, some sort of semblance or terms in the real world. And when you meet someone for the first time, you're going to be pretty neutral towards that person.
Sure.
But, you know, if I meet you for the first time, g'day, mate, I'm Dizzy.
How you going?
Hey, that's a fucking shit hat, mate.
Well, it's shit.
Wow, you know, that's a great first impression, isn't it? Exactly, and that's what some of the PCs did with Lieutenant Gorman, which, being sort of...
and there was a lot of penny, there was a whole lot of that going on, you know, and there's just no need to every twist and turn to be...
Look, and I get that you want to deal with Captain Duplay, who's the captain of
we tried to
the guard,
but
the middleman is Lieutenant Gorman.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to the boss through the secretary is to be a bit more charming and endearing to the secretary. You know, so
always the way. So it took us a long time to, and we ended up. Long story short, it wasn't a crypt. It was one of the graves, I believe, had a tunnel.
It was the well.
The well itself.
The well. That's
the well in
the name. Well Solstice. There's the well there.
Yeah.
So
and rope was tied off and.
Yep, you guys ventured down into the well. Normally, some of the townsfolk, when they go and remember one of their past ancestors, they flip a coin down the well. You know.
So when we got down the bottom of the well, and there was a whole bunch of like coin there, and we respectfully left it.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Even Pirate Steve left that gold and stuff down there.
Yeah, that was a real hard thing for him to do, because he's always short a coin.
But he respectfully, and we still to this day, we have not yet gone back to get that treasure.
All those silver and copper pieces, they're going to make a difference, aren't they?
Yeah, carry that weight.
So beneath the well, or beneath the graveyard, there was sort of like an old school crypt and tomb from ages ago, many years ago, and that's where the party encountered more undead monsters that were starting to animate. As to the reason why they were animating, reason was still unclear. So as they venture through the crypt and explore, they came up against, I think it was 4 zombies or 3 ghouls or something in the master crypt chamber at the end of the level. And
that's right. This was the
with the 4 sarcophagi.
So yep. And then down the other end there was a fountain.
No, not yet. No.
Okay.
No. So after this battle, you were searching the sarcophagi because you weren't grave robbing. You were just checking for secrets or whatever. Right. Due to some recent, could have been decades old, earth tremors or earthquakes. There was a small tunnle that led down to another sealed.
Then had that was the Yaldi hieroglyphics.
Yep.
Which at which point, wonder if Morgaine was in the party. That's maybe when Morgaine joined the party.
I think so. And just
about that point,
just to extrapolate. So they've cleared out a tomb underneath the graveyard. Great, you know, all good. All looks good. Through this tunnel that had opened up through seismic activity, it led into like a sealed tomb, and this tomb was covered in an old dead language, similar to hieroglyphics, but very pictorial in its set out, and had 4 guardians down in antechambers that led off. One end had that well.
That's right.
And the other end had like that shimmering wall that couldn't be
and see what happened
interacted with, and it had the 4 slots.
That's right. So as we got into every sort of, want of a better word, like an antechamber, so to speak, there was a receptacle. And I remember the first one that I encountered, or that we encountered, there was like coin down the bottom of it.
Yeah, that's in the crypts. Yep. The tomb.
Was that upstairs? Was it? And I reached
upstairs
out to grab it. Okay, sure.
Yep.
So how did we get the 4 tokens?
All right. So in each of these 4 antechambers, I don't know. We could even get the map out, you know, for the viewers. Yeah, why not? You've already seen that one, so there's no secrets really.
No.
really there. So as
you maybe, and while you do that, I'm going to get some condiments.
Yeah, sure. So whilst I'm fumbling for maps,
and also you can sort of do a little up there action.
All right. Yeah.
20 minutes later.
Alrighty. So. I'll display a bit of the map in due course. So as these daring adventurers braved it and lowered a rope down into this sealed tomb, which looked totally different from the other one they'd come through, which is more natural, carved out of dirt and rock, certainly not dressed or anything. They come to this sealed tomb, which immediately attracted suspicion. So in 4 antechambers there was a gargoyle sitting on top of a pedestal, guarding what appeared to be nothing initially. Upon the PCs entering, the gargoyle animated and attacked them. Once they'd defeated a gargoyle, it dropped a disc. And upon going and defeating all these gargoyles, each gargoyle had a different type of disc. One disc was all white, another was half black, half white, another was 3/4 white, a quarter black, and one was a quarter white, 3/4 black. So obviously these discs were meant to be inserted into the slots near the shadowy door where they couldn't enter, as a basic puzzle. Which the guys actually loved, I thought.
Well, without wanting to spoil it, like, imagine that you yourself encounter something like this. Now, I'm not going to go straight to the solution, but there's 4 discs. One's fully white, one's fully black, and shades in between.
Yeah, 3/4 and 1/4.
Yeah. Now ask yourself, what are you going to do with those? What would you do with those discs? And we talked, and my first thought was to just line them up from smallest to biggest.
That's right. Yep.
And when that happened,
the flames, the trap sprung for an incorrect answer, and flames roared down from the roof above.
For significant damage, as low-level cretins that we were, it was significant.
Well, according to the DMG, it's minor.
Yeah, but it hurt.
That's my defence. But it became quite apparent, and this is how great it was too. Put it in the wrong order, not really thinking about it or talking about it. And one thing I love with puzzles is, remember the handouts? I had those little bottle caps that were
That's what
painted.
I mean.
So you had actually something to touch and feel.
Yeah, like analog,
so it would help.
Perhaps something akin to that, but painted black and white, as it were.
Yeah.
So a Coke bottle lid.
You had a little bit of a touchy-feely thing, so you could mess around with them and whatnot, but no sooner had you put an incorrect answer in, then you're at it again without even thinking of it, and bang, you know, here it goes, more flames.
The next thought was to reverse that cycle, and that had the same result, which therein lies madness. Now, we sat there, scratched and bitched and moaned and rah rah rah, we're going to go, this is bullshit, we're not going to solve the puzzle, rah rah rah. And Dizzy said you can have the easy way, the roll of dice way, or you can have the glow that comes from the sense of satisfaction.
That's right, there's always 2 ways. There's the boring way,
yeah,
or the super cool way.
And I don't know how I came upon the epiphany of inquiring as to what state the moon was in at that point. And I'll just let that sink in.
Yeah, after saying, what do the shapes look like?
There you are. So with some prodding from the DM there, and it was a light bulb moment. So using the state that the moon was in, and then following the moon cycle, even though one would argue that it was an incomplete moon cycle, nonetheless, pieces were arranged.
Yeah.
And with the beauty, it just...
And did you feel that?
And I felt the glow.
You felt the glow, man.
That's when I felt the glow.
Because there's nothing better than, like, with a puzzle, for you guys to solve it on your own back. And here's the thing too, like, if we leave, there's so many dice rolls in the game as it is. If we left it to like an intelligence saving throw or some sort of skill check,
there's just no fun in that.
What happens if you fail the roll?
Yeah, well,
where does that leave us?
There's nowhere to go, mate.
No, and that means, well, you know,
that is so true.
Let's draw up another campaign then, hey? You know, so
with
that, you were quick enough to think that you'd solved it, and you did.
Yeah, and that was true. And then, Dizzy.
The wall of shadows dematerialised, and you were staring into what looked like a large trapezoid-shaped crypt with a couple of suits of armour hanging off the wall and a sarcophagus in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to think how we got the cursed artifact.
Well, you went into the room, and the armour hanging on the wall was really just a couple of suits of animated armour, which immediately went to task, and it's like, let's roll them up, let's roll initiative, and upon defeating both suits of armour, one of them, when you were searching, had the disc.
The cursed artifact.
The circle with the hourglass symbol.
Ah, the cup of shame.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh, no, it wasn't that. No, it was...
it was the brooch.
Oh,
the brooch of shame.
it was the... God love props.
I remember it well.
Oh, geez, I can't get it out the bag quick enough,
man. And the excitement initially, as we...
That's right, the teardrop,
artifact. And
that's right.
May I, at this juncture, even though...
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is the quality that you're dealing with here. This is, this is no simple prop. Alright, this is the brooch of shame that I wear.
That's right.
That I alone
must
carry the burden of the brooch of shame.
So once our good friend Barkus, Frog Whistle here, had identified that the blood red teardrop actually matched a carving inside the sarcophagus. He couldn't get to the sarcophagus quick enough and shove that key into the lock.
There was the puzzle was solved immediately.
Oh yeah, without any flame damage too. You know.
I don't think I even so much as asked for permission. I've just put this in the slot. No thought of repercussion. No thought. No. Go see Mistress Kirsten, who we had met at that point.
That's right.
Go see Lieutenant Gorman. Go seek the advice of my elders and betters. No, I put it straight, and this is why I wear the brooch of shame.
That's right.
Because this led to.
So it led to the opening of another crypt underneath. So basically, the sarcophagus slid back, and so stairs started to appear, and an old voice, ancients old, called out to them.
Yep.
Come, my children, come. I'm waiting.
Down the stairs. Down the stairs we go.
That's right.
And Pirate Steve knew better. Pirate Steve knew that there was
he was crapping his pants the whole time.
Yeah.
He wasn't enjoying it, but an invitation was given, and as our intrepid and yet overly cautious heroes ventured down the stairs, they found a figure, almost skeletal, dressed in purple, and the finest purple and blue robes, sitting on a stone throne, beckoning them to come in, and they did. And the figure introduced himself as Lord Skexus, Lord of Time.
And he asked, do we willingly prostrate ourselves? It was like that.
Yeah, he gave you, he thanked you for freeing him from his internal prison.
Yeah.
And gave you the option to become his minions.
Which, at that point, in fairness, hasty decision after hasty decision, and not grasping the magnitude of our decision perhaps, but more just, we sort of took it as we didn't really have a choice, because it was obviously a wizard of high power, and we all assumed that, did we not prostrate ourselves, that perhaps there would be a negative repercussion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
that's when the campaign was on a knife's edge as to whether
which way we go.
Which way are we going?
Forces of darkness, or And I'm a paladin. I'm a mighty paladin in high cause, rah rah rah. So Pirate Steve straight down pissing himself.
Yeah,
and
as you would.
Yeah, and a natural response. And initially, again, I've relinquished first and just given in and just said, all right, I prostrate myself. and the others followed suit. Now we left, that was the end of the night's work, and I spoke to my mate Dizzy later and expressed what I've just told you.
Yes!
In so many words.
I think we fucked up.
Yeah, and he said, well, this is the only time that you're going to get a re-roll. You're going to get the opportunity to do what's right.
Well,
to change your future. Well, maybe right. To us,
it's not a video game.
Decision.
You don't have that load save game feature.
We don't know. So we were presented that opportunity, and as a party, we all agreed that we would like to perhaps take the other option.
Have a think about
with
it.
The clarity of the moment that there was a decision.
Yep.
So at that point, we had been given the boon, which was some magical artifacts of great power.
Some minor magical items, really, but nonetheless,
that's the truth. But
the boon of Skexus had been accepted.
Yes.
Yep. Nonetheless,
yeah.
You're on board.
Yeah, and then we thought no, and then we back away from the building. He teleported off, but leaving us with a gift, which is not a boon, it's the mark of Skexus, which is yet his purposes unknown and nefarious.
Yeah, the mark of Skexus is some sort of curse, really, and it all depended which way the guys went. So if they accepted the boon and become agents of evil, then the campaign goes one way. If they refuse the boon, they still get the mark because they were the idiots that let him out of his stasis tomb. Ready to raise an army of undead and bring ruin and destruction to the world.
It's a mark that we still bear to this day.
That's
so we're
right.
as yet
and earned the name the Forsaken.
Yeah. So we don't actually know what this mark will bring or what Skexus has in mind for us or whatever. Not everyone knows that we got this mark because it's somewhat magical, as it were.
Yeah, Mistress Kirsten does.
Mistress Kirsten, certainly. We can find in her.
That's different.
So her recommendation was that she would, because we went back and spoke to her, was that she would confer with the council.
That's right, the Elven Council,
see what could be done. Advised us to shut up and stop gabbing about it and worrying everybody.
Yeah, so don't go to the town guard and start a panic.
Because again, we'd gone straight to Lieutenant and started smattering off this and that.
Yep.
She admonished us.
I love it.
And did tell us, we're idiots for letting out Skexus and rah. Because it was clear, when you looked at the hieroglyphics, in hindsight, it did represent some mighty fucking force, and there was the edge of...
Because Morgaine did cast that comprehend language spell.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to blow the whole gag at the time, so I sort of strangled it a bit and gave her like bits and pieces. Death, imprisonment, or death, prison, time. Not enough for them to work it out, but certainly enough for them to pique their interest.
You can see that we've unleashed a mighty force that if we had gone back and spoken anyway.
Well, look, I feel the need
2020.
to Skexus as a lich. Yeah.
Well, there you are.
There you go. And if you started a combat against him,
we would have.
I think he did shoot a magic missile and fuck someone up. I'm sure he just went. Yeah.
Look, I don't know if he even went that far, but he said, look, if you do.
Yeah. Look, it would have been a total party kill. Because they would never been near.
Hence us originally taking the boon of Skexus.
Yeah.
So
look, here's a lich. When they brought this to Mistress Kirsten, who was the owner of Ye Olde Shop.
That's right.
The finest in
And so now you meet Mistress Kirsten.
Tuesday night, D&D, game on.